Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is June the 10th, 2024. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. We got that lasagna today. Today was very Garfield. I will say I was pretty sleepy after work, so I actually wound up taking a nap. So that was nice. I'm glad. I feel like I didn't mess up my sleep schedule too bad, I hope. So, knock on wood there. Let's see here. Food corner last night. What did we eat last night? I made, I will say it's an Indian inspired dish. I feel like I can't say it's an Indian dish when I literally used like steak cutlets for it. I feel like that's fucked up to say. So, Indian inspired, but I had like this red curry and rice, with the meat. Also, for the first time, I think it's the first time I can recall trying. I had lentils. I kind of like had these pre-made lentils that I cooked in with it. It was really yummy. It was nice to have a little bit of bean in there, a little bit of extra protein. Let's see. I also had 2 pieces of garlic naan. They're big pieces. We love to see that. It was a yummy little dinner. And then I got greedy because I had nothing better to do on a Sunday night. And I went to UDF, which is United Dairy Farmers for the people who are not in the Ohio area, little gas station kind of situation. But they have like homemade ice cream. And I went and I got a sundae and a extra thick chocolate malt. So yeah, I pigged out. It was nice. It was kind of nice, And also, I will say, I was kind of rewarded a bit because I hopped on the scale, still under 260. So we love to see it. Like hitting at 256, 257. So, we could do better. I'd like to shave off a couple of pounds there. But, for being such a little piglet this weekend, that was pretty nice. Okay, so we talked about my day, we talked about, my life and stuff. I have to make an extra aside here. I want to say sorry for some technical issues. Had to do a re-upload over the weekend once I finally did a sound check. I will say I know that's the second time in about a month already. Like literally, I did that last week. And so I'm sorry. That this is mea culpa. My bad, y'all. I'm gonna try to do a little bit better of just listening like right after, so I know everything is the way it's supposed to be. I know this isn't like a professional podcasting experience, but I know I can do better than that. So wanted to lay it down there, follow my sword a bit. Let's see here. Was there anything else? Oh. This is a bit of side news that I'm going to do before I went on, I still haven't finished it yet. I'm on like part 1. But y'all know how I talked about David Copperfield last year, right? That shit was crazy. I was like, why are you hanging out and doing like magic parties for David Epstein? And you're telling girls like, hey, psst, girl like you shouldn't be here. You gotta get out of here, girl. Like you shouldn't, like, why are you here? 1, 2, why do you have this knowledge? And then like at best you're just doing that. So that was very suspicious to me, right? We talked about that. We laid that out. Apparently though, there has been a litany of allegations against David Copperfield, and like I said, I'm halfway through this little, I want to say expose that the Guardian did. It's a news outlet. I've obviously used some of theirs, used them as a source before, but I've been listening to that, and it's been really telling. Very, very graphic. I don't want to say too graphic, but it's just one of those things where it's like, damn, like I can't believe like a guy like this, who is so known, was doing things almost like literally in front of a whole audience at times. It's a lot. I don't want to get too into the weeds about it, but definitely very interesting listen. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and plug that, talk about that real quick. But that being said, we still have a lot of news to go ahead and get into. So let me go ahead and do my startup, and we will go ahead and do that. Oh, also, actually, for 1 second. I tried a Dr. Pepper before I went on. Not that I hadn't had Dr. Pepper before. Like, it just had been a while. But I figured, hey, last week we talked about them being the number 2. That's crazy. I'm not a Dr. Pepper fan. Things have not changed. Because it's like, hey, maybe I like Dr. Pepper more than I thought. Maybe, times have changed and I just didn't recognize it. Maybe because I'm not the biggest Pepsi guy. If it comes down to it, I'm a Coke enjoyer. So, I go ahead and I try it during my little pregame, And I have this, and I'm like, ooh, this tastes like medicine still. Like, this is not good. Like, people describe it as like a spicy taste when we're talking about Dr. Pepper. No, it's just heavy and it tastes medicinal, whatever. I'm not into it, so for me, I'll finish off this little Dr. Pepper I have, but no thank you. Ugh. Anyway, I'm Team Pepsi if it's got to be for the number 2 spot. Let's just say that. Anywho. All right. Enough about me being a little soda jerk. From CNN. Israeli Minister Benny Gantz resigns from war cabinet in blow to Netanyahu. Israeli war cabinet member Benny Gantz has resigned from Benjamin Netanyahu's government, delivering a blow to the prime minister who has been celebrating the rare rescue of hostages held in Gaza. I mean, I guess you can say that. You rescued 4 people. I think the number right now has been totaled to like almost 200 plus people killed, though they're saying, no, that's not it. Those are terrorist numbers. They're making that up. We actually have under 100 people that we killed in that raid where we did all this fucking crazy Michael Bay style shit and just killed a bunch of people. We didn't actually kill that many people, though. Whatever. Let's continue. Netanyahu prevents us from moving forward to a real victory in Gaza, Gantz said in a televised statement Saturday in which he described leaving the government as a complex and painful decision. That is why we are leaving the emergency government today with a heavy heart, but with a whole heart. Gantz considered Netanyahu's main political challenger, which I think is a key factor here, more than anything else you're going to hear Gantz say. It is the fact that this guy is a political rival to Netanyahu is why he's doing this. Not for the greater good of Israel and blah, 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 or that he thinks that Netanyahu's doing anything very wrong. I mean, this is where we're kind of getting to how I feel and think about this shit. But that being said, let's continue. I'm sorry. Said he was quitting 8 months after October 7th Hamas attacks because the situation in the country and the decision-making room has changed. He accused Netanyahu of putting his own personal political considerations ahead of a post-war strategy for the Gaza Strip, claiming that faithful strategic decisions are met with hesitancy and procrastination due to political considerations, and urged the prime minister to hold an election in the coming months. So, I mean, I agree that, Netanyahu is definitely doing this for a political purpose because he knows that once this war shit is over, and you just go back to the normal oppression of Palestinians, that people are going to go back and say, you are a piece of shit for letting this happen. And as mentioned, we already remember you're corrupt and you should be going to jail. So he knows that his time is very limited. So doing this and elongating it is just only for the better. That being said, I don't think Gantz staying or going makes any difference. I think it's only good for Gantz to kind of make this big show about it. So it makes him seem like, hey, I'm actually kind of aligned with what, the West wants. I'm aligned with what, kind of liberal Israelis want, even though I really think when you distill this shit down, it's still the same Zionist kind of like methodology. Like we're defending Israel no matter what cost. That being said, him leaving is just going to make a vacuum for someone like, Ben Gvir, like someone from the right to kind of potentially step in and fill this vacuum in the war cabinet. I really hope that doesn't happen, just because, it seems like everyone on the right is just baying for blood. They just want to just turn Gaza into glass, even though, I mean, that's pretty much already what we're fucking doing in this situation, sadly. But they want to do that shit wholesale, fast. They don't want to see any aid. They don't want to see any peace, nothing. So, the fact that, this is more or less part of what's holding Netanyahu's, not just potential war cabinet together, but his whole government together is, this right-wing coalition is obviously very sad. It's very frustrating. It's very scary. But once again, kind of going back to that point where it's you can say that there's, a liberal counterbalance in Israel, like any kind of country. But at the end of the day, this nation state wants what they want. Like when you look and you hear surveys overall, they're okay with the situation. They're fine with this. They want the defense of their country at the cost of, Palestinians. I think that's very fucked up. I think it's very evil. I find the longer I look at it that there's just no other way around that. I think maybe me 5+ years ago, maybe I would have a different take, but just me now, it's just very hard for me to like see any of the actions, whether it's liberal or conservative in Israel, and go, oh, well, it's still Zionism. It's still that. So, this is definitely an interesting moment right now in Israel in terms of like the politics and stuff. But at the end of the day, I think the move by Benny Gantz is only a selfish move for him politically. I don't think it's for the people. I don't think it's for the change of anything in politics, or anything in terms of like making Israel better or safer even. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if there's going to be any outcomes. Of course, I'll keep you guys posted. Let's go ahead and move on to another political quagmire. There you go. I like that. From the Associated Press. Press from the Associated Press, or AP. The latest election shifts the European Parliament further right. All right. Far-right parties made big gains in the European Parliament in election results that rattled the traditional powers and made French President Emmanuel Macron call snap legislative elections. Macron's party suffered a heavy defeat from the far-right National Rally Party, while in Germany, support for Olaf Scholz's center-left Social Democrats sank to a projected 14%, behind the extreme right Alternative for Germany, which surged into second place. Millions of Europeans voted for candidates to serve 5-year terms in a new European Parliament, the legislative branch made of the 27-member trade bloc. Provisional results from the voting that ended Sunday showed the Christian Democrats would have 189 seats, up the 13, the Social Democrats 135, down 4, and the pro-business Renew group 83, down 19. The Greens slumped to 53, down 18. So just a quick run. There's a lot of details here. If you're like a Euro politics nerd, I mean, by all means, you can dine in. I don't really want to stay on this too long, but just, the highlights. We talked about Macron calling the elections. We've talked about Marine Le Pen before. It just seems like interest in the far right is kind of growing, kind of for a lot of the same reasons. Like you can kind of use France as a highlight here. You have the immigration issue. People just continue to freak out and go, oh my God, all these people who don't look like us are here. Oh, this is obviously a problem. And people whip that up. And so people lean into that. So there's that. You also have the inaction of a centrist government like Macron, who essentially has not done anything really good for the people from what I've seen and or covered, other than the stuff that he has forced down their throats they did not want. Like, you can say, oh, you guys need this retirement fucking thing. We have to extend this age. We can't afford blah, 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 blah. But if the people really don't want this shit, then you should find another fucking way to make it work. And he could have taxed the rich, but that's not what his fucking business-minded ass wanted. That's not what his capitalist-minded ass wanted. So he found another workaround, which was the retirement shit. So at the end of the day, this man's a lame duck president, and he's going to act surprised and try to like rumble the fucking cage to do a snap election, potentially kind of making this worse. Like Olaf Scholz, they decided not to do this. They're going to like let the clock kind of play out. We've also seen though, from Rishi Sunak and the people in the UK, they're also, trying to run the elections instead of, once again, kind of playing for time. So, we'll see how these things go. I don't know. And I also don't know. Obviously, I'm not rooting for anyone in the far right or the right to win anywhere. Like, obviously, that's boo, tomato town for that. But y'all know how much I fucking hate Macron, and his administration. So it's like, it's not like I can tell you guys to be like, oh yeah, root for him. It's just crazy. And maybe this is the same as it ever was. And it's just, I'm a guy who's like, wow, this is how it is, but it's just crazy that you just wind up being like, I cannot root for anyone in any of these situations. Like, they're all fucking shitty dogs. I can't pull for any of them. But let me move on to more highlights. Italy's Meloni will welcome the G7 summit fortified by the EU vote that shook French-German leaders. Overall, Meloni is doing pretty well from what I've been gathering. I kind of was like, ooh, surprised by that when I started coming to that conclusion. But then I wasn't, because you can kind of see that she's playing this almost like very casual like line. Like, she's not doing anything super duper radical. She's not doing anything really crazy. Like, you know her politics, you know her ideologies, but overall she's sticking to a script that like everyone seemingly can't be that mad about with her. You know, you might not like some of her stances and stuff. Obviously I don't, but like it just kind of makes sense why overall people are like, okay, she's not like, she hasn't blown up Italy, so everything seems to be fine. So I'm not surprised to see her doing well, and there's not that much of a shakeup right now. Let's see. Far right alternative for Germany makes gains. Obviously, that's fucking unfortunate. But once again, it's that same line of just like, oh, we feel like we're being invaded, and like this narrative keeps playing over and over and over again. And it's a shame because we've covered some very spooky, very eerie stories of motherfuckers who are like more or less just like supporting like fascist ideals and shit in Germany. And it's like, you know, like why not? And it's like, yeah, we still like these people. We're still rooting for these people. And that's like, why? Why are you guys doing that? That's gross. But you once again kind of go to a government that's not doing enough for you. And I guess another thing I can add on is the economy. The fact that that's just been bad for everyone all over. So that's another issue where people are kind of taking scruples with. Let's move on to another one. Poland's centrist Premier Tusk is strengthened by EU election win. I'm not the biggest Tusk guy. They describe him as a centrist. I feel like he's center-right to my, recollection. So it's like, whatever. I guess he's a lesser evil in a conversation, but like, whatever. That's fine. Orban's party, which is Hungary, takes most votes, but challenger scores big win. Once again, you look at the details of that. It's a social democratic party, but they are the right party to Orban's far right party. I think there's some freedom, whatever thing. So it's like, whatever. Those are two gross things, and it doesn't really make much of a change there. Let's see. Complex coalition talks loom after Belgium's federal election. That feels like a snoozer. Bulgaria's center-right party leads in both national and European elections. And then there's just a slew of other shit. I mean, they're talking about Cyprus, all kinds of motherfuckers. I don't really feel like getting in the weeds about it. So we can just go ahead and move on, and we're going to actually move to the States. But all means, if you feel free to dig in there, dine in. Let's see. From CBS News, part of Wyoming highway collapses in landslide, blocking crucial transit route. See here. Part of Teton Pass, a crucial highway weaving through the mountains of western Wyoming, collapsed Saturday morning in a massive landslide that severed the primary transit route between two cities in the region. Officials said they expect the road will remain closed long term, potentially jeopardizing almost half of the workforce in and around the tourist hubs of Jackson Hole, Yellowstone, and Grand Teton National Park. Crews are still examining the site on Monday to determine whether it will be possible to construct some kind of interim road for travelers in place of the collapsed section of the highway. The Wyoming Department of Transportation said that current evaluations from engineers and geologists suggested they will be able to build a temporary detour around the landslide. According to transportation officials, that detour could be open to the public as soon as a few weeks from now. So that's hopefully cool. It definitely looks like Mother Nature just took a bite out of this highway. That's how I would describe it. It looks so just abrupt. And boom, it's just gone. So that's pretty crazy. Luckily though, it doesn't seem like anyone was like harmed or anything like that. Obviously this is a major jam up. Let's see here. Kind of on that same kind of wave, I know I kind of picked up a little bit of news, going kind of back to Baltimore, a little bit of an update. I know that they got a big piece of that bridge, the Francis Scott Bridge. They were able to pull that out. So that's a bit of an update there. Hell though, I don't even know, I think the crew that, the ship that had the runaway ship, I think they're still in, Baltimore. They're still in the fucking harbor, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So that's still an ongoing thing. Also, I don't think I covered on the podcast, but the city of Baltimore is suing the ship owner and everything like that. So that's a whole thing. Just kind of, national disaster and then a national disaster update. But hopefully I can keep you posted on the fate of Teton Pass. But speaking of updates, let's go ahead and move to the Bronx. 2 men plead guilty to federal charges in connection to 1-year-old's overdose death at Bronx daycare. Longtime listeners might remember this story. Obviously, very sad. Fentanyl-related death. Two men have pleaded guilty to federal charges in connection to the overdose of a 1-year-old boy and the hospitalization of 3 other children at a daycare in the Bronx, New York last year. On the morning his trial was set to begin in Manhattan on Monday, Felix Herrera Garcia, 35, pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute narcotics resulting in death and serious bodily injury, 1 count of possession with intent to distribute narcotics resulting in death, and 1 count of possession with intent to distribute narcotics resulting in serious bodily injury. According to a statement from the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Southern District of New York. All 3 counts carry a mandatory minimum sentence of 20 years in prison with a maximum sentence of life in prison, prosecutors say. Herrera Garcia is the husband of Gray Mendez, the owner and operator of the daycare, court documents showed. He was captured by authorities in Mexico 11 days after the incident. The charges stem from the death of Nicholas Dominici, 1-year-old, in 2023, after he and 3 others were exposed to suspected opioids at the Divino Nino daycare in the Bronx. Let's see here. Herrera Garcia has now been held accountable in the tragic loss of little Nicholas, the serious injury of Abel, and the harm to Kiara and Jeziel. Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark said in a statement Monday. About 2 weeks ago, co-conspirator Rini Antonio Paradis, 38, pleaded guilty to conspiring to distribute narcotics and stipulated his conduct caused death and serious bodily injury in connection with his role in the poisonings, prosecutors said. His guilty plea carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 20 years in prison with a maximum sentence of life in prison. Let's see here. Menendez, the owner of the daycare, and another defendant, Carlisto Avesito Brito, are also facing federal charges in relation to the case. All 4 people arrested as part of the alleged conspiracy were said to be mid-level drug distributors, a federal law enforcement official previously told CNN. Just kind of moving forward with that situation. I'm not surprised to see people plead out. When you're facing that kind of time, like the alternative is, not good. So at least you're getting a chance at not life. So there's that. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and move on to the last bit here. It's not too heavy. It's pretty light. It's SCOTUS. But we're not talking like any trials and stuff. It's ethics yet again. Of course, these motherfuckers are dirty. But yeah, let me go ahead and do my last break, and we'll go ahead and close it out. All right. Our last story comes from Politico. Clarence Thomas belatedly discloses lavish travel expenses paid for by Harlan Crow. Justice Clarence Thomas belatedly acknowledged that Republican billionaire Harlan Crow paid for Thomas's accommodations during trips in 2019 to Bali and Sonoma County, a disclosure that comes amid unprecedented scrutiny of the Supreme Court and the wealthy benefactors close to the justices. This is an annoying situation because, Clarence knew he should have told us this shit. He knew he should have been open about it, but he hid it for as long as possible. And, then was like, oh, yeah, no, I guess I did forget about this and that. Sorry, my bad. And it's like, dude, you should have aimed up this information already. And you knew, it just kind of goes to the point where either, you knew what you were doing was technically unethical, or you just didn't like, or not, and not even that you didn't care. It's like you're stupid. Like you're just the dumbest guy. And it's like, I don't think this guy's stupid. I think Clarence Thomas is quite the contrary. He might be a monster. He might be into weird kind of porn, but he's not stupid. That's not, I'm just saying. That being said, I mean, this article kind of goes into yet again, he had trips to Bali, other shit. I think it was like a men's conference or whatever. Like, okay, whatever, cool. But it goes on to others as well. 3 justices reported receiving six-figure amounts last year from book deals or royalties. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said Beyonce gave her 4 concert tickets worth $3,700. So, I mean, everyone's kind of got, a bit of money in their pockets here. We've covered Sotomayor before. I really think the only person I don't know anything about is maybe Justice Kagan, and I'm sure maybe she's gotten something, some kind of kickback, whatever. Obviously, it's a bummer. It's unfortunate. You hate to see it. I think the thing that really sucks for me is not that these guys and gals do unethical shit. It's that they're just fully protected, and then when you ask them to have any kind of accountability, they're just like, nah, and that's just okay. Even the way these checks and balances work, it's just allowed. And it's just like, man, look, I look at other legal systems and governments in other countries, and I go, oh wow, that's confusing. It's weird how they do this and that and the third. But I even look at my own as an American, and I'm like, why are these people allowed to do this? Why is that okay? If you were in another position, if we were talking like a baseball player or athlete, whatever, we've talked about the gambling shit, how you're not allowed to do that. That's unethical. You can't do this. You're banned for life. Get out of here. But when we're talking about Supreme Court, you have this lifetime fucking position, and you're, the legal equivalent of 007. Your word is law. You can support fucking whatever kind of shit you want. You can say whatever the hell you want, do whatever the fuck you want. You can get pumped for money, and you don't have to recuse yourself. You don't have to do anything. You can just show up and just live your life. It's just strange. It's weird. But hey, what do I know? I just mash trash for a living. I'm just a fucking dummy. But, whatever. Anyway, that's the episode. That's all I really have for today. Let's see. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, become a newsie today. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. There you go. Didn't forget. IsaiahNews1@gmail.com if you'd like to send any feedback. And then, let's see. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Like I said, I'm posting even on TikTok now. So there you go. You can find me there. Let's see. Hopefully subscribe to the YouTube. Really helps out a lot. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Even if it's weird or kooky, I will at least see it, and I'll be like, wow, that's crazy or cool that you said that, and sometimes I'll even like that, hell yeah. And sometimes I even respond back there, why not? I love getting to talk with you guys and gals and MBs wherever I can, whether it be in the real world or in the digital sphere. You feel me? But yeah, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.